Alright class, welcome to Tuesday, March 24. Today's learning target is the exact same as it was yesterday. The focus is talking about how absolutism develops in Russia under Peter the Great's rule. Today's video is going to be significantly shorter than yesterday's. There's going to be no new content you need to know. We're not taking any notes or anything like that. Today is mostly a work day. First though, before you start that work, a couple things. Although this video is short, I do think it's extremely important. Just as reminders and encouragement I'll go through, and then the rest of what you need to get done is simply finishing that Rate the Ruler assignment that you should have started yesterday. Just a reminder, that's your homework, and it is due not today at 3 p.m., although if you could get it done by today 3 p.m. that would be great. It's not required. You don't get bonus points for doing that. Is not due until 10 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. So it's due tomorrow morning, not this afternoon. Hopefully, though, you can get it done sooner rather than later. First, some reminders, encouragement for you. One, thank you for the feedback on Google Classroom. When I have different classes to teach, and each student is adjusting to this online learning experience different than others. Some people are more comfortable with it. Some people really struggle with it. It's good just to get some of that individual feedback so I can see where everyone is at. So thank you for doing that. Here are a couple things that stood out to me from the feedback. One, and this is the second bullet point, some of you really need to advocate for yourself a bit more. And when you don't get something, it's confusing. I'm giving you notes to take on these videos, which is definitely not the ideal way to do this. It would be much easier, I think we can all agree, if we could do it in class, and then if you had a question during class, you could just raise your hand. Fortunately, that doesn't get to happen. So instead of raising your hand like you would in class, what you need to do then is send me an email, send me a private comment. The worst thing you can do is nothing, because if you do nothing, then I'm under the assumption that everything makes perfect sense and you don't need my help. Also, don't forget that you can rewatch these videos again. I think some of you either aren't listening very carefully during the videos, or you're not watching the entire thing or watching it at all. So please make sure you are watching these videos first before you do any of the other work that I post. If you would like extra review with me, something doesn't make sense, you just want to ask some questions, please send me an email or a private comment, and we are going to set up a time today between 10 and 3 to have a little extra, more one-on-one chat and conversation online to try to help you get caught up and make things a little bit clearer and easier to understand for you. So please take advantage of that. That is you advocating for yourself. In the next unit we're going to talk about something called the social contract. This is our social contract where we have to kind of meet each other in the middle a little bit. I want to try to meet you where you're at, but you got to help me do that when I've got over 80 students to think about. Second thing that stood out from the survey is I think it might be a good idea for us to share some tips and advice that we found either as things that work really well or things that work terribly about how to do this online schooling thing from a student's perspective. It's really tough for me to do this for you because I don't know what this looks like in all your classes. Basically, since we start at 10 instead of 8, I've gone under the assumption that instead of having 1 hour class, we basically have 40 minutes. So one of my goals for this is to make each day's work last no longer than 40 minutes, which is a little bit of a guessing game there, but based on your responses, it seems like I'm not giving you too much work. Most of you said it's pretty much right on point. So what I'm going to do is on Google Classroom, I am going to post a question. I would like you to write some of your personal tips and advice for your classmates on how to do online school the best that you possibly can. And once again, that can be ideas for things that have worked really well for you so far. Maybe how you schedule your time, how you study for things, when you start, when you end, etc. Just any tips you can come up with. Or it could be ideas about things that you've tried and have failed pretty miserably at. And these are things not to do and to avoid doing to help everyone be successful. So I want to post that on Google Classroom. This is just one way we can have some conversation to help each other out. Try to make the most of this experience, even though I think we can all agree it's not ideal. I wish I was with you guys at school. I think many of you wish the same. It'd be easier for everyone. That's not going to happen, at least not anytime soon. So we've got to make the most of what we got. Here's the last thing. You should have started this yesterday, since this is nothing new, but you need to finish your Rate the Ruler for Peter the Great. This will be the last Rate the Ruler that you do. It's the same process as before. You have your germs chart. I gave you notes yesterday, so if you need to go back to the video that I posted yesterday, go for it. I also attached a video from biography.com that you can use for this. I also gave you, hopefully they worked, the PDF readings from the textbook, the pages that talk about Peter the Great in your textbook. What you need to do is fill out that chart, not just with what I gave you yesterday, but with your own research as well. I am asking / requiring you to use SweetSearch to do that, because too many of you are using websites that aren't reliable. So make sure in your germs chart you come up with at least 2 examples of how Peter the Great demonstrated his power using that germs chart. Government, economy, religion, military, and society / culture. So again, these could be things that he did or examples of how he did those things. You're just trying to show, whether good or bad, how he's demonstrated absolute power. Finish that part first, then you can kind of do this as you go or after you're done with the germs chart. Fill in the positives negatives chart. I'm asking for 2 or more examples in each part of the germs. For positives and negatives, I'm asking for several examples. That means not just 2 or 3. It's more than that. Once again, you could talk about a positive thing he did, and it could be negative how he did it. It's not just the things he's doing, but how he's doing them that matters. If you do extensive, thorough, detailed, focused research, this positives negatives chart should be pretty easy, because you already have these ideas in your germs chart right above it. You can just put them right down in the chart below. The reason you have that chart is to help you come up with that final rating where you can weigh and balance the positives versus the negatives, and then figure out, okay, he's a little better than he is bad, I'll give him a 7. Or he's got way more negatives than he does positives, I'm going to give him a 3. That's the reason you're doing that. For that final rating, clearly identify 1. What is the rating? You can use a half a point. You can give him a 4.5. Otherwise, it's anywhere between 1 and 10. You're not going to give him a 1. You're not going to give him a 10. He's not God. He's not Satan. He's somewhere in the middle. You need written justification to back up why you gave him that rating. I need at least 5 sentences. Don't be afraid to write more, but if you're writing like over 8 sentences, that might be a little bit too much. So still be concise, but don't be afraid to write more than 5 sentences. I'm looking for at least 3 reasons why you gave him the score you did. What I don't want you to do is just tell me 3 things he did, good or bad. For each example you give it context and connect it to the rating you gave him at the start. So if you give him a 6, your first reason is, I gave him a 6 because he bought everybody donuts. Okay, don't just say that he bought everyone donuts. Also explain how buying everyone donuts leads to your claim that he deserves a 6. So connect it with your thesis, which is what the final rating you're giving him is. Very end, don't forget to copy and paste your sources. You need at least 3. The notes I gave you in yesterday's video, that does not count as one of the sources. You may use the page numbers that I posted on Google Classroom yesterday in your textbook. You just write down textbook pages, whatever pages you used. You may use the biography video that I posted yesterday. Just put the link to the video as one of the sources. Realize SweetSearch itself, Google itself, those are not sources. Those are search engines. They're different. The sources are the websites you used from that search engine to find your information. So a minimum of 3. I'll be honest, if you only have 3 sources, I'm going to be a little bit worried about whether or not you've done the extensive research I'm looking for. Finding information in many places allows you to have more well-rounded, well-balanced, and complete research. So once again, this is due 10 a.m. Wednesday, March 25 in the morning. Don't forget, you want some extra review and help, email me, private comment. You got to reach out and then I'll reach back to you, but I just got to know you want that extra help. And don't forget to answer that question on Google Classroom, sharing with your classmates some studying tips of things to do or things not to do. Otherwise, good luck with this work. Reach out with questions. I'll talk to you tomorrow.